Hello everyone, this is Bigalski.
And this is JTB.
And this is Chapter 7 of my normal walkthrough for Ninja Gaiden Black on the Xbox One. What I've decided to do on this chapter is go ahead and show all the farming spots, what it takes. I actually get into some trouble a little bit, so you'll see how... First, before I do that, watch this jump, just roll. You can jump straight down into that. That saves you a little time. Oh. But anyway, I wanted to show that because that way it saves you some time versus trying to go around the corners, and I'm sure, you know, there's a lot of different ways to do that.
Oh, yeah,
but anyway,
absolutely.
But I do that, and it always seems to be consistent for me. But anyway, I show all these farming sessions. I decided to do this with the chucks. If I do it with if I'm doing it with the flails, I'm going to kill a lot of enemies. So again, I know I could kill them all fast. But again, the karma side of me is like, hey, you're missing points. So, you know, that's just part of it. But again, it shows people, hey, this is what it takes to go through all of these sessions.
Yeah, you're right about the flails, but I mean, again, people may underestimate. Like the last hit of that nunchuck UT is still pretty strong. Like it's not as it's not as powerful as the flails, but it is still pretty damn good. You'd be surprised, like. You can kind of do that move and then like whip that last hit on an enemy and it will kill him, and you're like, whoa, like nothing else hit that guy and yet he still died.
Right. Well, also like right here, if I had my flails out, it would have definitely killed both of those guys.
Yeah, it may have even killed the other one too.
So, you know, that's one reason why I decided to do it. But the other part of this too is just showing some spacing. Now I'm rolling, so I don't get the exact the charge up. Versus like doing an on-landing jump, and it'll be a little bit more easy to see coming up here in the Fiend Challenge. But there's a good example of it right there. You know, as he was dying, jump on landing, charge, and then by the time where it's versus here where I rolled into it, I had to wait for the extra charge. So again, am I
was
making
surprised
that
that
sound
didn't kill
good?
both there.
Well, I'm weak. I'm not JTB.
No, I was thinking like that. Plenty of the flurry hit him, and yet he still took the last hit. I really like the stance. You know, on the nunchuck UT and the flail UT.
Right.
I just love the way he stood. I think it looks really good.
But that's where a lot of it, in terms of your time, doing everything right, not running the timer down extra. You know, again, knowing where to jump. See, look, that, and here's what comes up. See where that archer just spawned? He usually never spawns there with all the enemies around.
No, he doesn't. He usually spawns on the opposite side.
So, you're about to see what... Now it's like, man, I gotta be careful here because I don't want to kill a ton. If I had my flails, I might have killed everybody.
Yeah, for sure. That would have been like pretty much everybody dead.
So, I'm still struggling when I'm looking at this. It's like, okay, how do I get that guy dead but without doing a ton of damage on everybody else?
Yeah. So that's your fourth UT, right?
Man, I don't know.
I think it is. I think it's the fourth UT or the third. So I'm just thinking, remember what we said about keeping an eye on your score. So you're at 50-41 here. So if that was your fourth UT, you came in here on 50-20. And as we've mentioned this before, like make sure you keep an eye on that, because especially using the chucks, you're going to get a lot of hits. If you think every hit UT with the nunchucks is minimum 11 hits, so that times 50, that is going to throw off your score eventually. So make sure you keep track of that and know when your 50 UTs are coming. You know, ideally, you want to get your 50 UTs, but you don't want to be getting your 50th UT on like, you know, the 17th guy or something, because then, you know,
right.
You could have actually killed all those extra enemies. You know, ideally on normal especially, you want to be getting like the 50th UT on the final kill. You know, that wants to be, you know, that is kind of the ideal run, but it is pretty hard to set that up sometimes.
Well, also, you know, there was a mistake that I did too. I absorbed all 3 of the essences that was out there, or for the UT. I should have, you know, absorbed 1 and then use the other 2 for the UT if I wanted to keep the chain going. So again, you know, that's some point or some essence points, because I really mess up in this chapter. I wasn't even thinking whenever I went to Maramasa at the end, and I spent pretty much everything I had. You know, I'm not worried about the essence bonus at the end of the chapter. I'm just worried about the times and the kills, and we'll talk about the essence bonus a little bit later on. But anyway, so now that I'm going into Chapter 8, I hardly have any essence to upgrade any of my other weapons. So I was like, oh man, I can't believe I did that. And I could have gone back and replayed it and been smarter about it, but I said, nah, I've already gone this far. I'm not gonna, kill myself over this.
Fortunately, you do have Chapter 9 to kind of farm some money.
Oh yeah. I was, again, I like upgrading my my lunar to level 3. I like upgrading the wooden sword. I mean, not the wooden sword, the warhammer, since I'm, not since I'm not doing a full-blown karma run.
I love the one.
So, I don't, I want to have money to upgrade my Davi and everything like that. So I don't have any of that right now.
Wouldn't it? Sorry,
go ahead. No.
I was just thinking, wouldn't it be cool? You know how you upgrade the wooden sword, and I've never actually tested that. If anyone has, be sure to let us know. I've never actually tested whether upgrading the wooden sword increases its damage. I'm pretty sure it doesn't, but I could be wrong. But I remember, wouldn't it be cool if, like, if you let it up, they let you upgrade it, and when you got it to like level 6, so one level before the UF, it had all the Dragon Sword's moves, but it was still weak as shit. So, like, you could do an Izuna drop and a Gleaming Blade, but it did, like, no damage.
A wooden sword, Gleaming Blade. Can you imagine the sound effects?
Cool. That's the main reason I want it, yeah, because I love the sound effects the wooden sword makes. Like, it's got such a good, just, like, impact noise. And, like, I want to do, like, Blade of Neridi, but with the wooden sword. Like, that would be so cool. I'd love that. Well, like, I mean, the nunchucks are kind of the equivalent, I guess, in a lot of ways, aren't they? Like, you think if you compare the nunchucks to the flails, like, there's no contest in terms of damage, but the nunchucks sound cooler when they hit enemies.
Well, see, here's some of that string that I was talking about. Kill the guy, jump away. I mean, and where versus here I rolled, so I have to wait for my charge. But on like the 5 or 6 kills before that, I was able to kill him, jump away. See, again, I didn't on-landing charge right there. I missed my on-landing charge. So again, I had to wait. So if your timing's off a little bit, all of a sudden it takes you, 2 seconds extra to charge your UT, whereas if you've done your on-landing correctly, everybody, I think right here, see, I charged, now I got the yellow essence, so I'm already ready to UT. So again, that 1 or 2 seconds that it takes times, let's say half the enemies, that could equal a lot of, points, or maybe not even equal a lot of points, but it could be the difference of, 50 or 100,000 points over the course of the game on certain fights.
Also, it's worth noting as well, it's not that much of a factor on the higher difficulties, but on the lower difficulties when you don't really have a lot of time, your Fiend challenges should be, like, very quick. Like, you should have very optimal Fiend challenges, because if you don't, for the fights where you actually do want to try and farm and take the time limit right down to the limit, if you are having, like, slow Fiend challenges or slow bosses, you could very well not have the time to do that. So that's something to bear in mind on some of these like early chapters in normal. Like, those time limits, we say it a lot, but they are really strict on the lower difficulties. You really want to make the most of those.
If you're doing a hard karma run and you're doing Chapter 7, I tell you, and you want to run everything down and farm, that's a hard time limit to make. It really is.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's 30 minutes, and this is 32 minutes.
Yeah, and yet you have a lot more enemies. You've got 20 more zombies to kill. Alma's got minions. The Hydra Gauntlet has minions. They have more enemies. And also, it's worth noting, when we talk about the time limits, in theory, you could run every single timer down to, like, 0.1 of a second, make every time limit, but as we've mentioned before, like, if your route isn't good, or your movement's bad, or you farm enemies too much, you will still fail the chapter time bonus, and you only need to be, like, a second over the time to lose, like, 50,000 immediately from the chapter timer.
Right. And if going into your items menu a lot.
Yep.
How we talked about that. Now again, my focus here is just making the time limit. I'm not worried too much about getting the most UTs out of all of this stuff. I mean, I want to get as many as I can within reason, without going overboard on it. So now I go here and save, and then I come back to Muramasa. And one thing I want to say about this fight, it was
So what did you buy at Muramasa?
I I know I upgraded my dragon sword for sure.
Right, okay.
But on that bridge fight, before I do that, if you kill that guy that just appeared to my right, and I tested this out twice, if you kill him first, you end up only getting 12 enemies in this fight for some reason instead of 13. I don't know why that was, but I tested it twice.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know that. That happened to me on my comm run, so I'll have to go and check my video, see if I did that.
But one of the things that I wanted to say, and I released this UT early because if you see the guy, he's tracking you, and if you release as he's popping up, you'll whiff. And I actually have that happen to me coming up on the next gauntlet. But what I was going to say is, you want to walk across. This guy on Twitch was calling me a noob for suggesting that this guy walk across the platform. And I said, well, hey, it's part of the game. You know, enjoy the part of the game. It's a cinematic, enjoy it. And the guy was like, well, you don't know what you're talking about because he doesn't have to do it. And I go, well, I know he doesn't. I said, but the other part of it, too, is if you don't walk across the bridge, you're going to lose out on those 3 zombie kills.
Yeah.
And those zombies won't be there at the bottom. Those little 3 zombies won't be there whenever you drop down. So that's going to hurt your, chapter. You're going to have to farm for some kills. So JTB's going.
Anything.
Huh?
Sorry, go on.
No, I was going to say JTB's going to explain this section of it, why I keep missing.
Okay, yeah. So this is actually really important and something that people really need to pay attention to. So right here, I'm just going to call out when you should jump to actually make this jump. So it's now. You want to jump a split second, literally it's a step before Al's actually jumping here. Ryu's jump arc is always fixed. If you imagine, like a semicircle on a flat plane, like a perfect arc of 180 degrees, you want Ryu to be hitting that wall right at the peak of that angle at 90 degrees, because then you will initiate the vertical wall run when Ryu is at the highest point he can be. It is hard to do, and it will take a lot of practice, but that's the key in getting like these shortcuts first time every time. Because if you jump too early, you are cutting off like a good half of the distance of that vertical wall run, and you'll never actually get up there unless you get shot up there, which is possible, and it looks kind of funny. But you can aim a shuriken, and then the other guy will shoot you, and it will like saw you over to the other side. But that's not consistent. You can't really rely on that happening.
Watch this skill right here. Watch this skill. Here I go, and there I go. I hit the corner. I'm like, oh my god.
But yeah, regarding the cinematic, you say you should have not said anything, and then if that guy ever does like a hard calm run, he's like, I'm failing to kill him now. I can't figure out why.
I would love to call out his name. Just he calls me a noob, and I don't know what I'm doing, and some guys are like, he's got some help videos up right now, and he's still a noob. I don't care. But I think here comes up where I whiff right here. See?
Yeah, it's just a little bit too early.
Yeah.
That's all it was. Yeah.
So
that is hard to do though. Like that takes a lot of practice to actually hit them, because when they come out of the ground, if people don't know, they have a very brief period of invulnerability. Like as soon as they pop up, and you would think, like when you look at it, you think, oh, as soon as they come out of the ground, I'm releasing my UT. But it's just long enough to go through the start of your UT, because even though your UTs have a lot of range, the actual active frames of the UTs is actually quite short. So for UTs where you're like the Dragon Sword, the flails, where the initial hit actually has to land for the UT to animate. So you have weapons like the Luna, the Debilero, the heavy weapons. Their UTs come out no matter what, because it's just slamming down to the ground. These UTs have to actually connect with an enemy, and they have a pretty short amount of active frames for how important they are. So practicing that is really, really important.
And the other side of that is if you wait a split second too long, he's going to hit you before you release.
Exactly. Yeah. It's a really tight window. Like everybody misses that every now and then.
I usually get caught.
I usually
get
hit there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was really surprised.
By the maze. Yeah.
See, I think I messed this up too, and this is the first time I've ever not done it in the blue room here on the first try. So I'm like, okay.
Yeah. The blue room is a little bit lower. Like the blue room is definitely the easier one. Like if you want to practice, I'd recommend always practice on the red room, because then once you get comfortable doing it in the red room, when you come in the blue room, it's like, oh, this is so much easier, because the platform is just that little bit lower. It just makes it that little bit more consistent.
But if you notice, whenever I got up, I went into panic mode. So I kind of just, okay, do I need to hold X? Do I need to do just X, Y, Y? Do I need to try to get, I mean, I went into panic mode, whereas, you know, JTB, like, oh, okay, you know, let me still get my 2 UTs on it. But I made the time limit, so, but yeah, I go into panic mode sometimes when things go wrong.
The zombie archers definitely have their off days, you know. Like sometimes they will hit you from immense distances and weird angles, and yet I've had them shoot point blank and miss. You know, it's like it's really weird the way their aiming works. It's really strange. Well,
you know, it's see, when you're far away, they don't know it's you, but then when you got closer, it's like, holy shit, this is JTB. Let me. You know, here's something I did a little bit. I lit my firewalls just a little bit early, just because I had the slots for it. So I actually had a really good fight. And then I got this one, and I was going to try it again. And I said, well, maybe I should jump away. And then I said, maybe I should do the Gleaming Blade. So I kind of did the whiff there. But I actually had a pretty good fight on this one.
I wish there was a way to knock this guy out with just one tentacle removal on normal. Like, no matter how many times I've tried it in, like, sequences, he's always got, like, just that sliver of health left at the end.
I know in the Hurricane pack you can do it. I have my video where I do it in one string on that. Yeah. Now I'm going to show this this next section. After you go out, it showed the little the side wall go up, but it goes up on both sides. So I'll go back here, save, then I'll go to Miramasa and buy what I need, and then I'll save usually on a different slot. I show this part of it because after you like come back down, those 3 enemies will respawn. So if you're short on kills, or you want to on the higher levels not have to worry about killing all the minions with Alma, kill those 3, go back, save, restart, spawn or reload, and then those 3 will come up again. That way you can farm some kills right there. You can actually drag the essence, and also on the Flying Swallow, when he connects and he lands, you can land into an on landing. And see, look how this kills 4.
Mentioning that, yeah. I was going to mention that. You'll see it pretty common. It's very common to like put the kick on the end of that move, like the in-air Y with the flails or the shuriken or the nunchuck. Sorry, that's not actually part of the string. The move, we call it the Flying Swallow, but it's denoted as the Red Hot Iron Brand in the moves list. It's just that initial flurry, like that when you if you see it in the opening cinematic, actually, you know, when you idle at the main menu.
Right.
There's a really good shot of that move, and you kind of see Ryu do the move, and then he does this like really cool front flip over their back, and like that's the end of the string. But at the end of that string, you actually have airborne frames, so you can toss a shuriken. As you said, you can do an on landing, you can do the in-air Y kick. You actually have a lot of options there, which is really good. You know, one thing to note, actually, we forgot to mention it. You know, this fight right here. When you go back up and save, don't save the save statue before this fight. Otherwise, if you like reload it, this won't be timed.
Right.
Even though it's quite far away, like it's quite far away from it, really. So. But,
yeah, I don't understand that. Yeah, good point on that.
Those zombies, though, those 2 archers looking at you, you know, it's like, are they going to hit me? Are they not going to hit me?
I've walked around the corner before I even saw them, and they've shot me before.
So have I, yeah. And yet other times you can just run right at them and they don't do anything.
Now I go and save up there, come and do this fight, pick up the Scarab. This you could Nimpo, but I'm going to do and I switch over to the flails just because they usually run into its UT, or you could do the Lunar, and you usually get them both.
I love where their heads just like fly off.
Now this Alma fight, so I'm going to go back down and save now in the underwater. I've seen a lot of videos or people playing on Mixer and Twitch, and they only have 1 save slot. We've talked about it before. You know, save somewhere before the water breaks. And this right here, I missed my little input here, but what I wanted to show this while this is going on, this is my, you know, just kind of no Nimpo, fight her, and I'm aggressive. I see a lot of people run around all over the place. See, like when she's throwing the pillars, but I still Flying Swallow X into a Y. See, there I go. I missed that again that we were talking about earlier. We'll talk about it in the next video. But I want to stay aggressive on everything, and then that way you have a chance. If you let her wait on her to swoop or stomp or anything like that, you know, you can be waiting a long time.
You can, and you also cut her You also cut her attack short. I mentioned it in my Alma tutorial, and it's really important on the higher difficulties. She'll throw a fireball volley of, I think it's 8 or 12 fireballs on Master Ninja. But if you flying swallow at her, even if she dodges your flying swallow, it cuts the attack short. So she'll only get like 4 fireballs out, not, you know, the 8 or 12 you might have to dodge otherwise. So being aggressive is actually good for Alma.
So again, to the people who you only play with one slot who are listening, you have 30 save slots. Please save. Use them to your advantage, because I've seen a lot of people quit this part because they don't have the supplies, because, you know, they saved on one. I love going towards the wall. They saved on one spot, and now they can't go back to buy supplies, and it's like, well, we're not going to start over the whole game. And I'm like, well, why do you have to start over the whole game when you had 30 save slots? So please just be smart about it, people.
Yeah. Also, I think it's for me at least. I know, like, I'm super obsessive with more than one save, because I remember the days of, like, you know, memory cards and stuff, and like having a file corrupt, and you're like, that's it, you're done. Like, you can't have a backup save back then. So yeah,
right.
Having the extra saves is a must.
Well, it went by fast. The Nimpo trick is XY, XXY, and you try to catch her in that loop. Hopefully you can get some ideas from that. Again, the time goes by so fast, but thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you in Chapter 8.
See you later, guys. Take care.